Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil and Luke. Tom Hayes.
The rest of the guys have never played this international brand. It's officiated differently. It's pretty much if you bleed, there's a foul. If you don't bleed, then keep playing, and you better not pout. So it'll be a great tool for our young kids.
What's this? Basketball here in August in South Carolina in the heat of preseason football practice. That's right. The Gamecocks practicing some basketball. Going to hit the road this weekend for Costa Rica. Going to play a couple of games, put on some clinics, do some community service on about a 6-day trip down to Costa Rica. Frank Martin and the players met with us today to talk about it. We'll hear from the coach coming up, and got a chance to watch him shoot around and do various drills for a little while. And inexperienced, of course, as they are with their big guys, they do have some good athletes and some talent. Of course, the 3 seniors in the backcourt. Silva, watching him in particular today as he was just shooting jumper after jumper from the top of the key. And he just, as Martin said, he's an athlete learning how to play basketball, and he harnesses everything. He'll be a very special player for them. But we've got your football covered as well. The Gamecocks worked out today. No interview session for them today, so we'll hear from offensive coordinator Kurt Roper, who met with us yesterday. Clemson's practicing right now. We'll hear from the Tigers co-offensive coordinator, Jeff Scott. We'll have Mike Morgan with us. Morgan on the move, back with us tonight, heading into the football season, the heat of the baseball races. The trade deadline has passed. The construction continues on the new stadium in Atlanta. He's got thoughts on all of that for us here tonight on Sports Talk. That is just some of what we have for you tonight on another exceptional edition of Sports Talk. Phil Kornblue, Professor Tom Hayes, K-Mac, Kevin McCrary. We have the coaches' preseason ranking outs. Anything really shock you guys?
No, not really. I mean, Alabama's number 1. No big shock. Clemson's number 2. No big shock. So, yeah, I think it's your run-of-the-mill preseason poll, which means absolutely nothing. We should probably save this copy and see what it looks like compared to the last poll that comes out. I have a feeling it'll be a lot different.
3 of the playoff teams take up the top 3 spots: Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma. The other playoff team, Michigan State, way down at number 11. As I look at it, I think, they're giving Michigan a lot of respect. Is that for real, or is that just because Harbaugh's making a bunch of noise?
I think Harbaugh makes a lot of noise. They have a good team. Let's face it. I think that Michigan State debacle right at the end took a lot out of them. They could have had 11 wins, in my opinion. The 2 thumbs that stick out at me is Tennessee has more pressure added on them at number 10. And apparently they think Houston can maintain if you have them all the way up there at number 13.
They've got a lot of guys back.
They've got Georgia at 16, so they must think that Kirby's going to get the quarterback situation straightened out, but they also probably believe that Nick Chubb's going to be healthy and ready to go from the get-go.
Yeah, well, they're going to find out. They get North Carolina, a total of 4 ACC schools ranked and 6 SEC schools. And Clemson has to play 2 games against top 25 teams. South Carolina has to play Clemson, Tennessee, Georgia, and Florida.
All right, 800. Oh, whoop. Back we are, Sports Talk, South Carolina, Radio Network. Downtown Columbia, Main Streets. Phil Kornbluth and the Professor. Tom Hayes and K-Mac, Kevin McCrary. 800-956-7266 is our phone number, 800-956-7266. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com and on Twitter at SportsTalkSC. Lots to get to tonight here on Sports Talk. Kurt Roper, Jeff Scott, Bryson Allen Williams, USC linebacker, USC basketball coach Frank Martin. Preview tonight of Florida State. We jump over to the ACC and check out the Seminoles in the preseason coaches poll. Florida State number 4. It's Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma, Florida State, Ohio State 5, then LSU, Stanford, Michigan, Notre Dame, Tennessee. Then it's Michigan State, Mississippi, Houston, TCU, and Iowa. Georgia at 16, followed by Southern Cal, Washington, Oklahoma State, North Carolina. 21 is Baylor, followed by Oregon, Louisville, UCLA, and Florida. How can you have Baylor ranked anywhere?
Well, they still have some guys that haven't gotten arrested yet. Who do you think, real quick, who's ranked too high, who's ranked too low?
Yeah, good question. I would say at a quick glance here, you're talking about through the entire top 25?
The entire top 25.
Mm-hmm. My team that I think is ranked too high going into the season is
Oklahoma.
Yeah, that would be mine.
I would say Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think Oklahoma at 3 is too high.
Mm-hmm. Would not totally disagree with that. I'm thinking more along the lines of maybe Stanford at number 7.
Stanford is good.
They got great running back.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. Too low. I would say North Carolina.
Yeah, me too. I think North Carolina should be top 15 team with what they have coming back.
I agree. I think they're too low at number 20. But you know what? That's all fine. If you're North Carolina, you win your games, you're going to move up and you're going to be in position. Louisville, with a couple of big wins, if they can get them, could certainly
they'll
jump
finish
up
higher than number 23. I would agree.
All right, 800-956-7266. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Twitter @sportstalksc. Let's jump on the phones. We go to, is it Vincent in Bishopville, right? Oh, I'm sorry, Vern. I missed it totally. Hello, Vern. How are you?
Close.
I'm doing good. Man, me and you need to talk, man. You be ditching Perry Austin and stuff like that, like he stole something from you. You and that old K-Mac. When did Perry Austin ever lose a game for Carolina? Carolina offensive line and stuff is not that decent. Now you explain that to me.
When did he lose a game? I mean, I don't like.
Yes, when did he lose a game?
I don't like to put a loss on any one player. Now he had a really bad throw. He came in relief in that Kentucky game in the second half and had a really bad throw in the fourth quarter across his body on a potential game-winning drive that was intercepted. They ended up losing that one. He missed a few throws. He missed some big throws against Clemson when the Tigers were scuffling around there in the first half.
I knew you're not bringing Clemson up because that game it took from Carolina. Perry Austin made a long run and got a first down, and they took it back. The referee and stuff took it back and stuff like that. You can't do that. Y'all like to dish that dude and stuff like that.
I don't like I like Perry. I think Perry Orth's a great kid.
You don't.
Look, I don't dislike Perry Orth. I'm not dissing him, but I do think that he has warts as a quarterback in the SEC. He's not really he's okay. I mean, he's not really good at any one thing. He's okay at running the ball. He's an okay passer. He's okay athlete. I mean, but he's a I think he could be a serviceable quarterback. I think you can win with Perry Orth.
I think you're more than that. I think you're more than serviceable.
I don't think he's all SEC.
Well, listen, Perry Orth is what he is. He's a transfer walk-on, and he's got
a young man that can play football.
Nobody is attacking his personality.
Yes, you are, man.
No, we've never. He's a fine young man. Nobody's ever said anything, a cross word about him as a person. He's a stand-up guy in an interview. He understands that coming off of 3-9 and being the quarterback for a lot of that.
That's the coach's fault. Steve Spurrier's fault.
A lot of reasons they went 3-9 last year. But when you're the quarterback, you take a good deal of the blame. And let me talk for a second, and we'll let you talk. he had opportunities to make plays to win games last year, and he didn't make them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he missed some open receivers in the end zone. He had the picks that K-Mac talked about. Now that was, but you also have to understand, he was thrown into the fire as an inexperienced guy, an unrecruited guy, and he did the best that he could do. He will be a better quarterback this year. He might very well be the starter at Vanderbilt. And if so, I think he'll lead the Gamecocks to a victory.
Also, the key point is this. Any quarterback whose defense doesn't give him a break, where he has to know he's got to score every play, the margin for error is very difficult when you know your defense is about to give up a touchdown if you turn the ball
and
over.
he did, and I will say this: I think he got better at times, and he did show flashes. I mean, they moved the ball up and down the field against Tennessee. They rallied against Tennessee, against Texas A&M. They never quit, even against Clemson when the Tigers got up. You give the guy credit. Well, yeah, Spurrier quit in the middle of the season.
Look, I mean, Perry Orth's last two games, Citadel. He passed for 367 yards.
And had a 95-yard touchdown took from him on a bum call that wasn't true.
I don't know about that. Yeah.
You don't know about all that. I watched the game like you did.
He threw three touchdowns against Clemson. All right. He threw three touchdowns against. He had his moments.
All the Crystal bring all them cheating referee with them, and they took the game from him.
They took it.
So do you think where would you rank
sprung Tyler Renew there on that long touchdown?
Where would you rank Perry Orth among the top 10 quarterbacks in the SEC?
The top 10, I think he would rank rather number 5 or number 4. That's where I think he would rank.
Behind who would you rank ahead of him?
Whoever in the SEC?
Yeah. You think he's in Chad Kelly's category?
No, but Chad Kelly a better quarterback than Watson is. No, I won't put him in Chad Kelly.
Okay, all right. Now you just gone off the deep end completely.
Well, didn't Chad Kelly beat Alabama? Watson didn't beat him. Chad Kelly beat Alabama Alabama.
Based on that one game.
One game, man, they ran over Alabama. You know they did.
You really think?
Well, it didn't exactly run over.
Now, you're a Gamecock fan. I get it. So it's really hard to give any respect to your arch rival.
You know, it took a funky little play there, but well executed. Remember the little jump pass that Chad Kelly threw?
They had 43.
To put them ahead on Alabama.
There was another one. You're talking about two different plays. They had a lot of things. I mean, look, they beat Alabama. That doesn't mean he's a better quarterback.
Well, listen,
Deshaun Watson sliced and diced that Alabama defense.
Listen, Deshaun Watson forced Nick Saban to attempt an onside kick, which worked in Alabama's favor, but he admitted afterwards, I wasn't going to put the ball back in Watson's hands because his defense can stop him. We got to go, but listen, you call back after South Carolina plays Vanderbilt. We'll see how Perry does, and we'll dissect it from there.
I will. And stuff. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah, they're talking to you.
If you need if Perry Orth's looking for a president for the Perry Orth fan club, I think we found it.
Well, in looking back at his numbers, I mean, really, against LSU, he passed for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was 14 of 28 on the road. Against Vanderbilt, 272 yards, 17 of 28 and a touchdown. Against Texas A&M, 192 yards. 2 interceptions, no touchdowns.
Yeah, he struggled.
And how many rushing
But the
yards?
offense scored some. I guess they were getting a lot of their yards running the ball. They scored points offensively in that game.
Against Tennessee, he was 20 of 39 for 233 yards and 3 touchdowns. Against Florida, 2 picks, 13 of 24, a touchdown, 163 yards. Told you about the Citadel. And Clemson, 13 of 28, that's not real good, a pick. He did have 3 touchdowns. So he had his moments. Unfortunately, he had opportunities. And as a quarterback, when you have the opportunities, this is what separates you from the others, is making that play that wins you a game when you have the opportunity. And he had a few of those as the season progressed, and he couldn't come through. But I wouldn't hold that against him. He was a rookie. He was a walk-on. He's had another offseason, a spring, a summer, and now a fall to get ready for it. Unless Brandon McElwain is clearly superior, Orth is likely to be the guy going into Vandy. We'll take more calls in a moment here on Sports Talk. Back with you, Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, here on a Thursday night from downtown Columbia, 800-956-7266. Former USC basketball standout Michael Carrera has signed a pro contract with a team in Russia. Going to play for a team that's part of the top tier of Russian pro basketball, so that's good for him. Go over there, do well, make some money, get noticed by the NBA, and get your shot over here.
Make Putin proud.
Former basketball coach Ralph Patterson has been named the interim AD at Newberry. He replaces Matthew Finley, who resigned to accept a position in athletic administration at Anderson. Ralph, a good friend of ours, has done television. He's done administration at various levels. He's been a basketball coach, and he'll do an excellent job at Newberry College, no doubt about that. To Glenn in North Charleston next up here on Sports Talk. Hello, Glenn. How are you?
How you doing, guys?
Good.
And I agree with Vern and I should get along great. Vern was perfect. We was cheated in that Clemson game. If you don't remember, he had that first down, and then he got a bum call. But I guarantee if he had the first down, had 3 more opportunities, he'd have got a touchdown. I guarantee you that, because we had Cooper, and we had several things going our way with him, and he was getting hot. And that referee did a bad call, and we'd have had a first down in that, because that was a bum call. I mean, we could have beat Clemson, and we're going to beat them this year. They're not going to be as great as they were. They got a wussy schedule to begin with, and if they played somebody like we did in the SEC, let them go ahead and do that. Then let Dabo do a dab or whatever he does on the sideline. But
you want to give us you want to give us a prediction here in August on the USC Clemson game up in Death Valley this year? What's the score going to be?
It's going to be our favor, and it's going to be not exact score, but I'm going to tell you one thing. It's going to be 2 touchdowns, because Perry Orth is a great quarterback. He is going to gain that experience. He's going to gain the leadership capability. But Carolina is going to beat them by a touchdown or at least 2. And I guarantee you that. I don't care where we play. That Dabo weenie, he's not going to be doing but a weenie.
All right.
So you just go ahead and mark this.
Hot dogs.
Carolina's going to do great this year.
Armor hot dogs.
Tell you what,
the dogs kids love.
Is there like an early happy hour going on?
Yeah, it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Goodness,
No,
really,
somebody.
Chad Kelly's better than Deshaun
Sometimes the barometric pressure.
Something's happening out there. What's the moon?
It's
the tide's doing something weird down in the low country.
There's a new optimism running through Gamecock fans here this week, I guess. I don't know. They've seen something or heard something that's given them.
It's called Bacardi 151.
All right. Thanks for your phone call. It is Sports Talk tonight, downtown Columbia. Excuse me.
Whoa.
All across the states. Sorry about that.
J-Dog, call an ambulance.
Little phlegm got in the way there.
Oh, we're okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
800-956-7266 is the email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Morgan on the move coming up momentarily. Right now, we go back to your phone calls. We are headed next to, I lost my place.
We got Troy in Aiken.
Troy in Aiken. Okay, Troy, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
Fine, Phil. This is Troy in Aiken. And by the way, I'm a good friend of Ronnie from North Augusta. We went to high school and all together and played a little ball.
My number one fan.
And you know, he's a great guy except for his Carolina deal. But anyway, this fella that just called in about Deshaun Watson and making a comparison and talking about what they're going to do at Clemson this year. Well, you know, good luck for that, number one. And number two, even my good friend Ronnie wouldn't even question Deshaun Watson's ability. And like I said, and Ronnie, he's having health issues right now, and I want to put that out there and, hope and pray Ronnie gets better.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I just wanted to put that in there. But anyway, even Ronnie would admit that Deshaun Watson was a great quarterback. So.
Yeah, I think if you took a hammer to one of his fingers a couple of times, you could probably get him to admit that. It wouldn't come out easy. He doesn't like to give the Tigers credit whatsoever, but I think he'd have to admit that. Thank you very much and appreciate the phone call. And I second your comments there about Ronnie. We hope he gets healthy and better real soon.
I have no problem even when fans talk about giving people credit, because don't you want the opposition, when you have good players, to give your players credit? So why wouldn't you give the opposition credit when they have a great player? I don't understand.
That's where the rivalry runs deep.
Oh, is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
That's where it runs, where people sound like they don't know what they're talking about, too.
More calls coming up here on Sports Talk. Let's welcome in, however, for an edition of Morgan on the Move here on Sports Talk. We never know where he is because he's always on the move. It is Mike Morgan here on Sports Talk, brought to you by Play It Again Sports in Columbia. Chris Mosley and the gang, they have everything you need in the way of golf equipment, fitness equipment, water sports, and more. You got some of those Nike clubs you want to get rid of? Take it to Play It Again Sports. They'll be happy to take them off your hands. Ballard Parkway in Harpton in Columbia. And by Founders Federal Credit Union, check out foundersfcu.com. Learn how they can assist you in all of your financial needs. Mike, how the hell are you?
Doing well. Good to talk to you again. Hope you had a great vacation.
Terrific. Didn't go to the Keys, not one of those real cool people on the Keys, just old basic Garden City, Myrtle Beach.
There's nothing wrong with the beach. At the end of the day, it's still standing water. Right?
You got there. And in our case, jellyfish.
Now, Morgan, you haven't seen Cornblue. You're not going to recognize him. He has, again, the beginning stages of a mullet and a goatee now. And I'm not kidding.
Well, maybe he's looking to fit into Myrtle Beach a little bit better.
I keep looking in the parking lot to make sure there's not a Corvette out
he's
there.
going to set up an easel and have some watercolor paints, too.
All right. Get the Camaro and a six-pack of Matty White. You'll be on your way.
Mikey, let's jump into your football knowledge for a moment before we touch on the Braves and what's happening there a little bit, though we don't really care right now.
Sure.
The coach's top 25. Here's a good question to pose to you as we pose it to ourselves. Who's overrated in your opinion, and who's underrated in the 25?
Oh, gosh. To be honest with you, I haven't given it that much thought because the polls are so meaningless now, especially with the playoff. We don't have to worry about them really being a huge factor in who goes into the college football postseason and who does not. But I think a lot of people are going to look at Tennessee and see where they are. I think it's their highest ranking since I want to say 2004, somewhere in there. And a lot of people are going to scoff at that and say, well, based on what? What have they really done? And when you look at their stretch there, where they could be humbled They've got a 3-4 week stretch where they've got some really tough games out there. But I wouldn't go so far as to say they're overrated. I just don't think they're the lock to win the East that a lot of people do. I think more so it was almost a selection when we were all out there in Birmingham or Hoover by default. I mean, who else are you going to pick? You know, I think that might go into the other part of your question, which is who is underrated. And some people think if Eason ever becomes the type of talent that he was supposed to be coming out of high school for Georgia, and once he wins that job, they have NFL running backs, they have NFL linemen. There's no reason to think that Georgia might be a surprise if you're keeping it in the SEC. ACC-wise, I mean, I think Florida State and Clemson are right where they're supposed to be, and then who's underrated? Some people might say North Carolina, if they get the quarterback situation all sorted out there at Chapel Hill.
Yeah. All right, to the Braves, the trade deadline come and gone. Braves, of course, was trying to pedal their way through this season, but what's your take on what happened around the two leagues, and in particular, anything with the Braves?
Well, I mean, obviously the big move is the Matt Kemp deal, and I don't think anybody saw that coming. It was one of the more unorthodox deals you'll find because it's just trading two horrifically bad contracts for two guys that neither team wanted. The Braves wanted to get rid of Oliveira for so many reasons. Truly one of the worst moves that front office has made in the last 5 years, maybe number one. And then number two, the Padres wanted to unload Matt Kemp, who since 2011, when he had an MVP season, has just dwindled to a lesser and lesser player every year. He still, though, can hit home runs, and not many players on this Braves team can do that. His attitude, his overall makeup has been put into question by a number of people I've talked to, both in L.A. and San Diego. But sometimes a change of scenery does a lot of good, and maybe Matt's grown up a little bit, wants to start earning that money he's making on the contract. I don't think you lose a whole lot. Padres are paying part of that contract, so all things being equal, I think it's actually a solid move.
Yeah, because Oliveira, let's face it, he was just dead weight. I mean, he was going to
complete dead weight.
Yeah,
but Kemp has two arthritic hips, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, again, we're talking about a guy, but he's also got.
Well, he's perfect.
He's got
for the
more
Braves,
home runs
then.
than the entire Braves team, though. So.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, at this point, he could be in a wheelchair and out over the Braves starting lineup. I mean, it's gotten that bad offensively around here. And again, whenever you see these kind of moves, you always have to consider what did you give up for him. You know, it's like the people around here talking about the Falcons picking up Dwight Freeney, saying, "Well, he's washed up." Well, yeah, but you paid $2 million, which is. You know, that's the equivalent of paying minimum wage for a veteran defensive lineman and pass rusher. So they didn't pay a ton for Matt Kemp. They're not beholden to him for a long-term situation. If he hits some home runs, great. If he doesn't, you got rid of Oliveira, who was not only dead weight, but an embarrassment with his off-the-field stuff. So, again, the biggest moves are going to come in this offseason when the Braves get ready for the new stadium and start opening up that pocketbook a little bit.
All right, minute to go. The stadium, how's it looking? What's going on with it?
You know, stadium's looking great. The big question is going to be, number one, do you have a team that's worth going to watch? And then number two, there's just so much controversy about the locale. Is there going to be traffic? Yeah, it's going to be traffic anywhere in Atlanta. But if you've been to Turner Field, the great thing about Turner Field is the stadium itself is pretty nice, still is. The bad thing about Turner Field, there's nothing good around it, and there's some not so good things around it. Whereas here, this community will have a ton of things. You can go to a game 3-4 hours early, have a good meal, have a few cocktails, what have you. When the game's over, you're not rushing to your car and worried about being pickpocketed. You can actually maybe enjoy a few things after the game.
Well, you better. Because you're going to be in traffic.
Yeah, you're going to be stuck.
Well,
there
I saw they moved
night.
the start time from 7:10 to 7:30. So for weeknight, that's going to solve everything, right?
Well, it's not going to solve everything. It's going to make it, I would say, marginally better. It's like, you know, every minute that you go past 6:30, the traffic's a little bit lighter, but it's still traffic. There's still going to be traffic in Atlanta, especially where that park is. For those that know that area.
All right, Mike, we got to hit it. Thank you, man.
Okay.
Appreciate you being with us. Be back in a moment. Thanks again to Mike Morgan for being with us here on Sports Talk tonight. Good to have you with us wherever you're dialed in around the state. Sports Talk show of Main Street, South Carolina, from the coast to the mountains. Every night, your final word on sports in South Carolina. We appreciate you being with us. We thank our affiliates for being with us. We are about to hit football season number 33 on Sports Talk. Larry Bird.
I was wondering how long it was going to take when he said 33.
To Larry Bird land.
So that means that Sports Talk will start having a bad back?
Yes. Yeah. That's entirely possible, but we'll still be able to knock down the corner three. To Devin in Chesney, next up here on Sports Talk. Devin, how are you? Good to have you with us.
How y'all doing?
Good, sir.
I got a question. I don't know if y'all might have touched on it before. If y'all have, I apologize. Would all three of y'all agree that South Carolina is not going to compete at all for the SEC East this year? I'm a diehard fan, but I'm also realistic.
Yeah.
Well, I think you should be.
Yeah, I think we all agree that South Carolina will not be competing for the Southeastern Conference Eastern Division title this year.
My advice to Gamecock fans is keep your expectations low and be pleasantly surprised if things go better than you think. If there's some winnable games there. I mean, you've got the three weaker opponents that you should beat. I think you should beat Vanderbilt. I think you should beat Missouri at home. That's 5 wins right there.
Win more than you lose. Go back to the Steve Spurrier model at the beginning and say, let's win more than we lose. But you got to understand, if they win 4 or 5 games this year, it doesn't mean that Will Muschamp has been a failure. You got to know. And I know there's still people out there that think the team has a lot of talent, and maybe it does have more than we think. And I think that's why they can win 6.
The reason I ask is because what would South Carolina accomplish starting Perry Orris when you have a young quarterback that needs to get in there, and you have a young receiving core that needs to grow with the quarterback?
Well, I think here's the key point about a young quarterback, and let's take Nunez as a case in point. He was put if you put a young quarterback in a situation he's not ready for, and he fails, that can mentally hurt a quarterback. Steve Spurrier put him in a situation where he was asking to pass against the wind and all that other crap in Missouri. Yeah. That can really
asking him to pass in any condition.
Yeah,
he's not a passer.
But
that's why he's a receiver now. He threw for 800 yards his last year of high school.
But there's a reason Tom Herman recruited him as a quarterback to Ohio State. He saw something.
Oh, everything's Tom Herman.
But here's the point, though.
Say,
depending on the offense you're in, because he took a wide receiver from Houston and made him a quarterback, and it worked in his system.
Yeah, so not a Spurrier guy. But here's the other thing too. Systems. And fans do this, and this is what is going to happen if South Carolina struggles this year. They go, well, why don't you just put in all these young guys and let them get experience? As a coach, first of all, you got to play your best guys. If that guy's a senior, you play him, because you're going to lose your team if you're just putting in guys because they're young. You go out there and you earn your playing time. You can't tell a senior, yeah, I know you're better, but this season's a complete wash, so we're just going with the young guys. Work the young guys in, and I think they will. But Will Muschamp's going to try to win every game, and he should.
He's already made that clear. His goal is to win and win now. He's not interested in some sort of rebuild this year. He's going to try and win.
And I think he's I get why he's saying that, because he's a competitor. He's not going to say, oh, we're going to struggle. It's not in his DNA. But I do think he's run into the area of over-promising and under-delivering, where people are going to go, well, the talent's there. He said we should win the East, or he didn't say they should win, but he said that's what they're competing for, and that's what the expectation is. I don't think that's a realistic expectation.
That's the key point right there, is attitude. Because if you watch the football games this year, fans, watch the defense. If you see tenaciousness on defense, that's what he's labeling this year, is getting an attitude adjustment, because some attitudes deteriorated as the season went downhill last year. And that's the key. Watch this team every game, see if they compete. That's the key to the fans watching this team.
All right, thanks for your phone call. We appreciate it. Coming up after the break, we'll give you the recruiting report. We got some people holding. If you'll hang on, we'll get to you in the next hour, and we've got some other folks to hear from in the next hour as well. We'll get to our comments from USC offensive coordinator Kurt Roper, also USC basketball coach Frank Martin, Clemson co-offensive coordinator Jeff Scott, preview of Florida State tonight from Carson Nova. All that coming your way here on Sports Talk in the next hour. 800-956-7266, the number. By the way, if you haven't voted yet, make sure you do so. Our poll question of the week, Steve Spurrier's departure for Florida. A, really ticked me off because he quit on Gamecocks again. B, doesn't bother me because, after all, he is headed home. So far, about 80% say, doesn't bother me. 20% say, a little ticked off about it. If you haven't voted, get to our website and do so. Recruiting coming up in a moment. All right, to the recruiting report here on this Thursday edition of Sports Talk. We'll get back to some phone calls here in just a little bit as well. 800-956-7266 is the phone number. Let's begin with some football news. We got football, basketball, baseball stuff for you today. Matthew Butler, defensive end, Garner, North Carolina. Just checking in with him. He says USC neck and neck with the other three schools. So that would be neck and neck and neck and neck, because there's four necks involved there, four schools, four necks. Duke, NC State, and Tennessee, and USC, the top four. And a lot of things are going to come into play for him when he makes the decision. He says education, football, comfort level, coaching staff, all of that kind of stuff. He feels good about all four schools. He's really comfortable with all four. So it's very close among the four. He's focusing on his fall practice right now. He's finished making visits for the summer. He wants to make some officials this fall. Does not want to rush a decision. Expects to have it by October. Jamias Williams, a defensive back from Loganville, Georgia, in touch with his top five schools. Has not picked a favorite right now. USC, Clemson, Georgia, Ohio State, Tennessee, the five. Keeping in touch with Will Muschamp and Clemson DB coach Mike Reed, he says all the time. Of course, he visited both for social events late last month. He's going to take his official visits, he said, very, very soon. And he hopes to make his decision very soon. He does not have a timetable, however, for when he will announce his decision. He's focusing right now on his team. Receiver Justin Marshall, Covington, Georgia, last night released his top nine. Of course, he had told us earlier USC would be in the top five. He's got the Gamecocks in there, along with Louisville, his current favorite, Maryland, Tennessee, Auburn, West Virginia, North Carolina, Oregon, and Georgia. He has set an announcement for August 15th. But even after he commits, he's going to take his 5 official visits. Defensive back Tansy Richardson of South Aiken. His official offers have come in, Colorado State and Kent State. Verbal offer he has from USC. He did talk to recruiter Travaris Robinson in mid-July. He visited USC several times during the summer. At one point, wanted to commit. He plans to take one of his official visits to Colorado State. USC target, cornerback Trajan Bandy of Miami, was at Miami today for practice. Clemson target, defensive tackle Corey Bolts, Paramus, New Jersey, was at Maryland today. In basketball, 6'8" Ajike Obina of Ashburn, Virginia, has Clemson in the top 6. He's got an official visit set with the Tigers for August 19th. In baseball, 2018 left-hander Justin Robleski of Canton, Georgia, committed to Clemson, and 2019 outfielder-infielder Brody Blanton of Somerville committed to USC today. Wonder if he's related to former Somerville quarterback Bo Blanton. Wasn't there a Bo Blanton that played quarterback at Somerville? I think there was. Top of the hour. We'll be back.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network on a Thursday night. Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, the Professor Tom Hayes, all together, along with Jar March, Jared Rogers Martin, and Carson Mason. Coming up, we've got plenty of football stuff for you. Back to the phones we go, and it is Short Run with us somewhere in America, maybe on a short run. I think we just lost Short Run. Apparently his line dropped out. Short Run, sorry we missed you there, my man. Wanted to hear what you had to offer up to us tonight.
He drives 18-wheeler, doesn't he?
I think he does. Yeah. Or knowing Short Run, he might drive a 24-wheeler. He might throw an extra 6 wheels on there. Who knows? How about this? They got some interesting times over there in the state of Alabama. First of all, Javon Robinson is leaving Auburn, and he's not leaving quietly. Of course, it was announced by Gus Malzahn yesterday that Robinson, the leading returning rusher, had been dismissed. So he goes to AL.com and talks about it. This is pretty much unheard of activity. He believes he was, quote, stereotyped and disrespected, saying Malzahn's decision to dismiss him was an overreaction after he was too lenient with Daquille Williams last year. He said, quote, everything about the Auburn coaching staff is not what it seems. Just because I don't walk around with a fake smile, they feel like they can say or try to force anything. I was stereotyped and disrespected. The football players are not happy with this. He also said his dismissal had nothing to do with, quote, missing classes or not paying attention. And he further denied he'd been in an altercation or failed a drug test. Whatever the reason, whether Malzahn is justified or not, the reality is Robinson is, according to this writer, causing himself more problems the way he's handling this.
Exactly.
Whether he wants to continue his college career elsewhere or move to the NFL, not doing himself any favors.
And he didn't say what he did. And that's the other thing. He wouldn't say, I didn't do that, I didn't do that. What did you do? He wouldn't say. So my thing is at least come clean and say, well, this is what I did, and everybody can judge for themselves. But I think we see why he was dismissed. I mean, this is the kind of guy that could be a distraction. And if you're Malzahn, he's got a razor thin margin for error going into this season. And the last thing you want is a guy like this disrupting things with a bad attitude, not doing things the right way. Run him off.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can see here, they're going to have to lean heavily on their defense because their offensive personnel
I'm standing
is very
right here.
Suspect. It ain't that hard. Kevin Steele on line one. Kevin, are you ready for Clemson? Are you ready for Deshaun?
We can't have we miss him on our coaches talk.
We sure do. We sure do. Be right back. USC offensive coordinator Kurt Roper coming up here in just a little bit on Sports Talk. Now Short Run has reconnected with us somewhere on the roadways of North America. Short Run, how are you?
I'm here. I've been with you the whole time. I've even been with you when you talked bad about Ali and all that.
Okay. It's good to have you with us. What is on your mind, Short Run?
Oh, Clemson going to the mountaintop. I just came out of Gainesville.
Yeah.
Everybody happy about this yard down there in Gainesville.
Yeah, Gainesville, Georgia you're talking about, not Florida.
Right. I hope in that area all day. Got up in there last night. It's done some heavily raining up there, I tell you.
Yeah. I get that. Mm-hmm.
So what your Ladder Vikings going to do this year?
Ladder Vikings, I think Ladder Vikings are going to be pretty competitive in their region once again. I mean, they're going to have a hard time beating the Dillons and the bigger teams on their schedule, but within their region, I think they'll be very competitive.
You won a road playoff game last year, didn't you?
Yes, we did.
Mm-hmm.
We won a road playoff game, then lost actually, I think we got to we lost to Allendale Fairfax, if I'm not mistaken, right? Short Run?
You go, bro. You go when you meet the Tiger.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough down there when you're playing 11 on 16. It's tough.
Right, you know when you bring them Bayou back, when you're running right by you,
Running right by you.
Bayou back.
That's a good one. Running right by you.
We're in a new conference this year, and y'all have a blessed time. And them Clemson Tigers, when Mustap comes to Clemson,
yeah,
that's going to be the first year coach whose dream going to die at.
Say that one more time.
I said that's going to be first year coach where it comes with a dream dies.
Oh, you mean Death Valley is where dreams go to die if you're a first-year coach?
Yeah, when he comes.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna court the great Les Miles, where opponent dreams come to die.
Right. I get you. Well, we'll see what happens. I think that in all likelihood, Clemson will be a prohibitive favorite in that game come late November, assuming that everybody is still healthy and upright. But what is going to happen? I'm going to ask this question again, Short Run, and you're a good sample size here. What is going to happen when Clemson loses a game? Is Clemson Nation just going to implode? What are their websites? What are their websites going to do? What are they going to write about? Because I mean,
to kill me.
Huh?
They like to kill me when they stole that game down there in the national championship, when the Rap stole that game for Alabama, all that. Lady hitting out of bounds, holding and all that. They didn't call none of that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They like to kill me.
Yeah.
And I was in Alabama that night.
Yeah. That's tough when the referees are against you like that, huh? Yeah. I understand. Yeah. All right, Short Run. Thank you, man. But seriously, we lost you.
Short Run.
But seriously, folks, is Clemson going to have another undefeated season into the national? They're going to lose at some point in time. I'm just wondering what's going to happen to Clemson because
they don't have to lose.
The expectations of everybody, the fans, their media on their websites, they just can't fathom the idea of Clemson losing to anybody.
Well, they
nobody.
I mean, they're going to be excited and pumped, and this team could run the table.
But it's sports.
I don't think they will.
Sports. The best team doesn't always win.
No,
the best players don't always come out on top.
Ball's got to bounce to go undefeated, which they did until the last game. But yeah, think about all the plays that went their way.
Mm-hmm.
You go to the Louisville game, that could have gone either way. Notre Dame, I mean, they got to stop. They stoned them on a 2-point conversion.
Mm-hmm.
And anything could have happened.
But they made the play. You give them credit.
Exactly. That's why they do it. They had the talent. That's what great teams do. But like you said, you can be a really great team and end up losing a game. And they do have some challenges. And I still think even with the Gus bus looking like it's on fire right now and going off the tracks, that could be a dangerous game for Clemson. I think the Auburn offense will be better than people think because they still have a pretty good system. Clemson's defense is going to be breaking in a lot of new guys, and you have to be disciplined. I could see that game. I think the spread right now 7.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a tough game. Going down to Florida State won't be easy. Louisville, it's a home game. That one's not going to be easy. If they make it to the ACC championship, which they're expected to do, they could face North Carolina in a rematch. That wouldn't be easy. So it's not going to be an easy path for Clemson by any stretch.
All right, short run. Thank you. Let's continue with the calls, and we're headed next to where are we going there, big guy?
And we're going North Augusta on both of these. So
okay.
we're going up with Ronnie first. So
Ronnie in North Augusta.
Ronnie got called out.
Ronnie, how are you, my friend? How you feeling?
I get called out by pro.
Somebody a couple of calls back. Who was that?
I don't know, but Ronnie probably was listening.
It wasn't
your buddies.
It wasn't Alan. It was somebody else. Somebody else.
I can't believe somebody like me was always been fair to both sides. You know, I would have generated good ratings, and then when I saw what Cornbrook was offering me to do this show, I had to fake falling out there in my yard last week.
I heard about that. I heard about that.
I went out there today and cleaned up the brains I knocked out. It took me 2 Q-tips to get them all up. I'm gonna still try to make you buddy before football.
Well, we got a seat here for you whenever you're able to get here.
I'll tell you, I'm glad to enjoy listening to y'all. Y'all have a good night.
Okay, man. Thank you very much. Glad you're feeling better. Yeah, Ronnie's going to join us here in studio at some point in time when he's healthy enough and able to get here. So for those who don't know, I think we can share this. He's been battling cancer going on here for a couple of years and putting up a great fight. So he, a friend of his, contacted me and said, you know what, it'd be great to have him come into the studio. I said, absolutely. So we'll get him in here at some point. Back to the phones, and it is going to be.
We got Kyle this time, still from North Augusta.
All right, Kyle.
We're big in North Augusta tonight.
How are you, sir? Welcome to Sports Talk.
How you doing, Phil?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. Just left the golf course.
Don't say that to
What'd
me.
What'd you shoot?
39. I only played 9.
That's good. That's very at Augusta National.
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
Played Midland Valley.
That's not bad either.
Not a bad track.
No, it's not a bad track. I hate to hear that about old Ronnie. You know, me and Ronnie go way back. But I'm glad to hear he's doing well in his battle against cancer.
He is. He's putting up a good fight.
When he comes in, I want to be in there with y'all too. Me and Ronnie, we can banter back and forth all night long.
Well, you know what? Come on down. Now we'll have to bump K-Macker Pro out of here.
Well, Ronnie probably will do that for you. He'll come over here and smack you down.
I think K-Mac's going to find a reason. He doesn't need many reasons to take the night off.
Ronnie in here,
He'll find a reason to be gone somewhere.
Also with Ronnie in here, I think the person that should be sitting in here with Ronnie is Rod Morris.
Oh, my goodness.
Lord. Phil, you said something about the media's expectations, and you were basically saying, in essence, talking about Clemson media.
Yeah.
What's your expectations of Clemson football this year?
Win them all.
Oh,
no,
such a homer.
I don't any facetiousness there.
Yeah. No, that's not. No, that's. I said that back in the spring. I see no reason why.
And you're knocking the fans.
All.
Oh, these Clemson fans
No,
and Clemson media don't think they're going to lose a game.
I'm not
How do you
knocking.
think they're going to do?
I'm just saying how are you going to respond if they lose? How are you going? Yeah, I'm just saying the expectations are so high, and I read the Clemson guys, and they do a fantastic job, and they're so high on the Clemson athletes, their players, and maybe justifiably so.
Yeah.
But what happens when they lose?
Well, I mean, if they lose to Auburn, they could win the rest of them. I mean, that's not the end of the end of the season.
But the fans are going to be like,
now, if they lose 3 or 4 games,
if they lose to Auburn, that's going to go down as one of the biggest upsets. They're going to go into that Auburn game. How big a favorite?
There's 7 points right now.
That's not a big favorite.
That's not. I mean, on the road to open the season.
I think they're giving Auburn way too much respect.
I just had them stubbing their toe in one game, and for whatever reason, Tallahassee has not been kind.
Well, that's true, and neither has Atlanta.
That's the game. That's the game right there.
Yeah. Hey, good talking to you. Appreciate it. Got to hit a break. We'll be back. More sports talk in a moment. Time for our college football preview tonight here on Sports Talk. We go over to the ACC, Florida State. Here's Carson Mason.
The ACC's Atlantic Division, Clemson and Florida State be the front runners, but which team will come out on top? After Florida State's successful offseason, head coach Jimbo Fisher is confident his team has what it takes.
We are. I mean, anxious anticipation for, seeing how the guys summer and how hard they work and how it pays off going into fall. And just like this team, anxious to get back on the field. From everything we're getting, the feedback we're getting, the guys, coach, Vic thought we had as good as one we've had in the last 3 or 4 or 5 years. And just the attitude, demeanor was really good. So, but, like we say that a lot, but this one just has a little bit different look, in my opinion. But we'll see.
Fisher and his squad will get a chance to prove themselves against the reigning ACC champs October 29th when they take on Clemson and Tallahassee. The Seminoles were 10-3 last season and have 18 starters returning. Despite a double-digit win season and finishing just second in the Atlantic Division behind Clemson, the Seminoles lost 38-24 to Houston in the Peach Bowl. But Fisher says one of the main reasons he's so confident in this year's team is the mix of young talent and returning seniors.
We have talent, again, but we're very unique in that we got a lot of starters back, but we still only have about 9 seniors on the team, about 4 or 5 starters. So we're still young. And what I'm anxious to see is this team develop the characteristics and habits it has to do to play at a high level. And that's going to be the challenge for these guys taking that next step.
But amidst all of his confidence and anticipation to get the season underway, one thing Jimbo Fisher isn't certain about is who will land the job at starting quarterback. The competition Colson. Senior Sean McGuire, who is returning from an ankle injury he acquired during the Peach Bowl, and redshirt freshman dual threat DeAndre Francois. McGuire made 5 starts for Florida State in 2015 at the end of the season and posted a 4-2 record as the starter. This includes a 45-21 win over Syracuse and a 27-2 win over the Gators in the Swamp. Meanwhile, Francois of IMG Academy in Orlando was the #1 rated dual threat quarterback by rivals in the 2015 class. Fisher said McGuire is fully healed and played well in the spring, but that doesn't mean he's nailed down the starting role just yet.
Oh, I definitely have confidence for him to run the offense, but he's back full speed. He's practicing good, and he's running, doing all the throwing, and he's ready to go. He'll go in with number one, and he'll compete with DeAndre and the things that are going on in fall practice, and we'll see where they go.
Defensively, the Noles have 7 starters returning and are predicted to improve from last season, where they ranked 9th nationally in points allowed. Last season, FSU allowed 4 yards per carry on average and surrendered just 10 rushing touchdowns. They did lose All-American corner Jalen Ramsey and need someone to step up and fill the void alongside senior quarterback Marquez White. So expect to see either sophomore Tavares McFadden, junior or junior Jax. Looking at the Seminole schedule, Florida State will start and end the season against some tough SEC opponents. They kick off the season against Ole Miss at a neutral site on Monday, September 5th, and according to Fisher, the team doesn't need any more reminding of this matchup.
Without a doubt, those kids know it. I mean, and as a coach, people say you tell them no. They know who you open up with. They know you got a great opponent. It gives you a little more juice in your step during the summer camp, and those guys get ready, and sometimes it just focuses them a lot more.
Florida State will wrap up its regular season at home against in-state rival Florida on November 26th. For Sports Talk, I'm Carson Mason.
And we'll be right back. No media access over at USC today. Of course, talked to several players and with offensive coordinator Kurt Roper. Here is what the Gamecocks' first-year offensive leader had to say about the way things were coming together early on in camp with his offense.
Well, experience is obviously a huge advantage. I mean, you've been in the stadiums before, you've gotten ready for a game before and gone through all the butterflies and the anxiety to go along with it. And then obviously just dealing with the complex defenses that you see in the SEC. I mean, there's some really good defensive coordinators obviously running around this league and that cause a challenge. So being in the battles before definitely helps.
Did the missed time in the spring put him behind at all?
Well, it's never a positive not to get the reps. You know, the more you can add reps in your pocket, that definitely helps. And so it's not a good thing, but I think we've got 29 practices to get him as prepared as we possibly can.
Are you more inclined to lean towards an experienced guy or a guy with more talent, or just hoping that one guy has both?
Well, I think that's a really good question. I think that's a question that if coaches really knew the answer to, we'd all be a lot smarter. So I think experience is a great indicator. Obviously, talent is a great thing to have on your side. We just got to figure out who's going to be the most productive.
Kurt, how have Brandon and Jake looked these first couple of days?
They've done a good job. Brandon obviously has shown that these aren't his first practices. I think, he's coming back and he's smarter, and his understanding of what we're trying to do offensively is pretty good. We're in pretty good shape. And then Jake, what you see in 2 days, because it's really first days we can work on it, you see he's a talented guy. He is an intelligent guy. He picks things up, but it's still a brand new situation to him.
Kurt, you look at the running game, I guess everybody thinks that maybe Dave Williams will be the starter. Has he been taking the first team reps? How's he look?
So we've been obviously moving people around in that. I think that's a position that utilizes a lot of people in practice. Stay fresh, because the effort we ask him to give on finish and things like that. So David's got a lot of reps, but we've rotated a bunch of guys around.
As you build what you want to be offensively, what are the metrics you will look at to judge progress beyond scoring points and winning games, but sort of in the details there?
Well, I think that's such an all-encompassing question. Really for us, what we want to be good at is we want to be good at taking care of the ball, and then the critical areas of third down, red zone, penalties, and explosive plays. And we gauge those. If we're doing a good job in those areas, then we feel like we have a chance to play a successful game. So we're always going to look at those critical areas and see if we're improving, but it's always a week-to-week balance.
All right, Kurt Roper, USC offensive coordinator, as he talked with us yesterday. Now up to Clemson. Of course, the Tigers working into the evening, so we don't get our interviews in until after we go off the air. So like last night, tonight you'll be able to listen to Brent Venables and some of the players on the website later on tonight. We'll have that up for you. And we'll update some notes coming out of Clemson's practice.
Well, I was just going to say, I know Brent Venables went on a rant, apparently.
Oh.
So anytime there's a Brent Venables rant, it's probably worth tuning in for.
Because guys weren't playing hard or something?
No, I think it was reflecting on some of the issues that cost him last year on the kickoffs and things. So
and the chunk
it was
plays.
Apparently a part of a long rant, as described by Matt Connolly from the state newspaper.
All right, we'll have that up for you on the website later on this evening. But last night, they brought out the co-coordinators, Tony Elliott, Jeff Scott, and several players. All that's on our website. Take your time, go back and listen if you haven't. Here's a little bit from Jeff Scott talking about the offense here early in camp and just trying to get things working in an orderly, smooth fashion.
Always interesting to see what it looks like the next day after day one, all the excitement for day one. But I felt like there was a lot of carryover. You can tell the guys are studying. They're focused. It's nowhere close to perfect or where we need to be from an execution standpoint. But really, you're just looking at, the way the guys are pushing through the practices. They're getting a lot of reps. I'm really trying to strain them mentally and physically right now and see if they can push through. But overall, pleased. There's a lot of guys getting reps. A lot of young guys are getting reps, which is good for them. They're kind of getting thrown in the fire early. But I think there's a lot to learn from off the video. So that's what this time of year is all about.
A kid like Feaster coming in, obviously there's a lot of hype there. Does he live up to it early on? I know we're on day 2, and is there anything that maybe surprised you about him?
Tell you what, the thing I'm most excited about is the way he carries himself in meetings. Just watching him walk around the building. I recruited him for 3 years. He kind of was a little bit of an immature guy early in his career in high school, but he's very focused. I've never seen him in the 3 years that I've known him since recruiting him as a freshman. I've never seen him as focused and zeroed in as he is right now. I love seeing him hang out with Wayne Gallman. I think Wayne's kind of taking him under his wing all summer long, and it shows. Through 2 days, he doesn't look overwhelmed. I know he's got a lot that he needs to learn, but the good thing is he's very focused. Sometimes the talented freshmen come in and they don't know what they don't know, and they just kind of go through the motions and they think they're doing all right, but he's a guy that's soaking everything up, and been very pleased. He's kind of shown a few sparks there in practice in the team periods. We've noticed him, so that's a good thing. And the biggest thing will just be the consistency and the retention as we continue in the installation.
You're in a few questions on number 4 this year. Is there anything about him this year? I mean, so much more hype after the season you guys had last year. Anything different with the demeanor or the skill set even?
No, I think that's the beautiful thing about Deshaun is he's the same person really that he's been. Obviously, we've seen improvements, and maybe he's a little bit more vocal in the huddle, those type of things. But the thing you appreciate about Deshaun is he's the same every day, just very consistent, and that doesn't make for a lot of fun stories and new storylines. But that's what makes Deshaun so special. Is every day he comes to work with the same focus, the same work ethic. And I think it's contagious. I think you see our offense prepares the same way because of the way that their leader does in Deshaun.
You have Mike Williams back. You have all those weapons still back from last year. And I kind of asked Jordan this. Is there enough footballs to go around this season for you guys?
Yeah, that was one of the things we did in our first offensive meeting on Monday night is as we were going through some of our plans for the offense for the year, talking big picture, we had all those skill guys stand up. And I think we counted 31 skill guys in that room. And all of them are very talented players. And we held up one ball. He said, all right, we got one ball to go around. And, I think, we just talked about what's our goal. Our goal is to win every game, whatever that takes.
How's Dion?
All right, Jeff Scott, comments from him. 31 skill position players in that locker room. Pretty solid. Couple of notes from Auburn's practice today. Of course, they've had the eruption of the Javon Robinson story. That will settle down now that he's out of the picture. Today, they switched up the order in quarterback. Sean White going first after going second yesterday. Jeremy Johnson worked with the first team offensive line. John Franklin III worked with the second team. One of the newcomers who did not practice yesterday, who did practice today, was freshman defensive back Marlon Character, a guy that South Carolina had committed for a little while, but he ended up signing with Auburn. The only player still missing, graduate transfer defensive back Marshall Taylor, who Malzahn said is taking care of some personal business. Auburn's defense, their first-team defense, especially up front guys, Carl Lawson, Marlon Davidson,
he's good.
Montravius Adams, Dontavius Russell.
Yeah, those good.
They're
players.
studs.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be
They
a
didn't stop
real
recruiting.
challenge for Clemson's offensive line.
Yeah, I think and Clemson's offensive line's very good
Yeah.
as well, and I think Auburn is going to have a hard time consistently slowing Clemson down. But that first game, they're trying to get everybody on the same page. Sometimes teams take a little while to get going. Clemson last year offensively, they didn't just shoot out of the gate. In their bigger games, against Louisville, they scuffled a little bit offensively. And Watson, now he was coming off a major knee injury, didn't look quite the same as he does now. So I do think that could be a trickier game than maybe some people think on the Plains.
Oh, you're starting to think upset.
No, I'm not thinking upset, but I do think it'll be close.
Now it's going to be close.
Yeah.
Which the home team could turn into an upset.
Could.
Be right back. Yeah, one quote I'm seeing here from Brent Venables, asked if any of his defensive ends have stood out early. He said, not really, but 28, that's Tavian Feaster. On the other side, he's really good. It's all Clemson needs is another stud weapon to have on the offensive side. Venables, words he used to describe kickoff coverage last year. This, according to Matt Connolly, on a long, long rant. Quote, embarrassing, disgusting, terrible. We'll have that video for you up on the website here as soon as it gets into us. Meantime, the USC men's basketball team preparing to go to Costa Rica to play a little hoops. Going to play a couple of games. Costa Rica.
Packed off.
Wow, look at this guy rolling his tongue.
Packed off.
Wait, tell us some other Spanish words.
Costa Rica.
Did you say Zika?
Buenos
Costa
dias.
Rica.
Buenos dias.
Pásame la pelota roja.
Yeah, así. Yeah. You speak Spanish, huh?
No, I only know how to say pass me the red ball, and there you got it. That's it.
Buenos dias, señorita. Señor, ¿cómo está usted?
Señor, please.
¿Cómo está usted? That means how are you?
All right.
I hope that's
Can we
what
get
it
to the
means.
Frank Martin interview, please?
And the response should be, muy bien, gracias, usted.
You guys better be careful.
And then that means I'm doing fine. And
end
you
up having to
and
build
you
a wall.
respond by saying así, which means so. I had to repeat that in high school Spanish every day for 180 days. So
okay.
Yeah,
I remember that quite
Como se
well.
dice, I would imagine we are two big.
Frank Martin is bilingual.
The plan was to do this next summer.
And here he is.
But when we had that change on roster that we didn't expect to have, then all of a sudden our team was going to become very top and bottom heavy in experience. And I don't think it'd be fair to Sindarius and Justin and Dwayne, guys that have sacrificed much for so many years, to not give them every opportunity of their senior year for us to become the best team that we can. So, I think I shared this before, that the biggest myth in all of sports is that teams with great chemistry hang out with each other off the court. It's not necessarily the truth. Some guys do, some guys don't. It is what it is. And a trip like this, when guys break practice and they hang out in the locker room for an hour and they kind of, just kind of give each other a hard time for an hour, and when they leave, they got friends, family, other people that they spend their time with. Trip like this makes them have to spend time with each other. So those freshmen and those seniors get a better understanding for each other. As a coach, obviously you guys were told Fig is kind of running the show. I'm kind of his assistant. I'm kind of watching. I'm able to have real conversations about basketball in a non-competitive environment from the standpoint of the importance of winning a game. And I think that'll be real healthy for everybody.
Is it nice though to kind of have that top heavy thing right now, where you do have so many seniors that they can rely on with these young freshmen coming in?
Compared to 3 years ago,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Holy cow! 3 years ago seems like I was still Phil's age back then. I'm real old now. Listen, you need. I don't care how you cut the cake. Even Cal's best teams at Kentucky. They've always had those upperclassmen that get the team through difficult time. You need to have those older guys, and when you're older guys, you're guards, and real good guards at that. It lets you kind of ease through the transition phase a little bit.
How's the competition going to be you're going to face over there?
You're playing grown men. And it's officiated differently, which is Sindarius has been exposed to it when I took him with me to Estonia. One of these other guys, I disagree. Mike Kotsar, he's been exposed to it playing in Estonia, but the rest of the guys have never played this international brand. It's officiated different. It's pretty much if you bleed, there's a foul. If you don't bleed, then keep playing, and you better not pout. So it'll be a great tool for our young kids. This isn't high school anymore. They're not going to call that foul because you're the biggest, strongest kid on the court. You better learn to play through things and not allow officiating or the physicality of the game impact on how you do your job.
Frank, will you go ahead and start putting in a couple of offensive and defensive sets, or just kind of let the guys play?
Yeah, no, we're putting in structure. We're not going there as a rec team. We're putting in structure. What we're doing is the structure that we're going to defensively is what we're going to change. On offense, we're not running any set plays for a player, but we're putting our set offensive structure in. Then they have to play within that structure. Defensively is
Saw Eddie Fogler over at the practice today. Still ornery as ever.
Okay.
He said the Gamecocks would win 5 this season. I guess I'm quoting him accurately. I better be careful about that, but I think he said 5. We'll be right back. Wrap it up for tonight. People, please, I give you too much credit. When I said Fogler said the Gamecocks would win 5 games, I'm talking football. I'm talking basketball.
Well, you said it coming out of a Frank Martin interview.
Yeah, but everybody knows who listens to the show.
And Eddie Fogler is a basketball coach.
Every year, Eddie Fogler has come on the show and picked the number of wins for Gamecock football.
Right,
So,
right.
So he told me they're going to win 5 this year.
5 years probation for North Carolina.
Well, no, he says.
Okay.
He says see, I got it. He doesn't like to be misquoted, so I have to be careful.
I think you've done plenty of that.
So, but he doesn't. He does not believe that the men's basketball program at the University of North Carolina is going to receive any penalties from the NCAA.
Too big to fail.
Which I told him, is a joke and an embarrassment. He didn't like me saying that.
Mhm.
I said, if this were Cincinnati, for example, they would be thrown under the bus, run over, back and forth, stomped on, spit on, set on fire. But because it's the Blue Bellies, they're going to catch a break here. But the women's basketball program will be set back many decades because we all know that the only athletes in North Carolina in Chapel Hill, dating back to what, 1995? The only athletes to get fake diplomas from fake classes with fake professors were the women basketball players. Certainly not a single football player or men's basketball player ever ventured into those classrooms that were fake with fake professors and fake classes and fake tests and fake degrees. Certainly not.
Okay.
Okay.
You got that off your chest?
You done?
Well, I'm just
You feel
pointing
better?
out that it certainly
You
is
want to yell at some clouds?
obviously a fact that no football players or men's basketball players or soccer players or lacrosse players or swimmers or divers cheerleaders, nobody else. Only women's basketball players took those classes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a sham. It's an absolute sham and a travesty. No one else apparently is going to be
It's not
penalized.
over yet.
No, I think it's pretty much the
Well,
handwriting's on the wall.
Okay.
Handwriting appears to be on the wall. Well, I mean,
the bathroom wall?
Roy has said going back to last year, recruits were saying that Roy told them, we, the men's basketball program, we're not going to be penalized for anything.
It's all Sylvia Hatchell's fault.
That's what I'm saying.
Pick on
Hard
the
to
side.
believe it's just women.
Pick on the South Carolina coach one.
Where is the feminist movement in the state of North Carolina standing up behind the women's basketball team saying, this is not
I
right?
have an answer for that, but not while we're on there.
All right, that's going to do it for tonight. We thank you for being with us. We have enjoyed as always. Thank you, K-Mac. Thank you, Pro. Thank you, Jarmarts. And thank you, Carcinova, for doing a great job. Tomorrow night is Friday. David Shelton will be here, talk some high school football. He's going to be at a scrimmage. So we will hear from him, the expert on high school football in South Carolina. USC will have a media session tomorrow. We'll have that for you. Dabo is meeting with the media tomorrow. We'll have that for you and a whole lot more. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow here on Sports Talk.